Hi, welcome to this week's Momware series. Thank you for joining me, and this week it's just me. I decided we'd have a direct chat. We could kind of just talk about things, and particularly on my mind this week is transition, change. Change is definitely in the air. It's mid-August, and there's all the talk of back to school. It's the pattern and the cadence to life that we notice that changes at these times. There's plenty of other times during the year where there's these big changes, but this is one of those big shifts, that back to school time, whether you've got little guys, younger ones in elementary school, late elementary school, and those kind of things going on, whether you're new to middle school, starting high school, or whether you're bringing your kids to college, or whether they are moving on and out, or whatever, who knows? There's a whole range of things going on. Even those who don't have children, who maybe have fur babies, feel that change in cadence, feel that the subtle changes. Even nature practices for fall, you start to see a little bit of leaves changing. The Canadian geese, what I noticed is the Canadian geese, they start to fly in all their formations and patterns, but I noticed that they never really go anywhere. So they're practicing, but they know that change is in the air too. So, another thing I noticed is how spiders this time of year start to build their webs and kind of cluster in the corners of the outside of the house. And that's not my favorite thing at all, but you do notice that it happens, and it is part of that indication. And it can be unsettling. Yeah, the spiders, they can definitely be unsettling, but the change and the transition and how that works can really be unsettling. One of the things in kind of looking retro and thinking about life and all that is just noticing that I kind of came to terms with that I just didn't really think of the next stages too often, maybe when I was in the thick of it with little ones especially, but the next stages would come along and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, why are you complaining about your shoes? Oh, they grew 2 sizes and I hadn't been paying attention, or whatever the case was. I oftentimes just jumped from moment to moment or month to month, and the transitions were more foisted upon me, I felt, or more like, okay, it's July and Hobby Lobby says start getting ready for Christmas, so start the panic. It's like there's those transitions, and then there's preparing for it and creating an intentionality and feeling grounded in yourself and having some of those things that you just feel like change isn't happening to me. I'm happening with change, or I'm creating that change that I want to transition into, or the thoughtful look at what do I want to create, or who am I becoming during the process of this life, of this mothering, of this raising children, of this navigating through society, of all the things that we do and all the things that we notice and bring on, and bigger things. You're fulfilling your life's purpose, or what you think your life's purpose is, and that can transition too, right? So we have this beautiful process of life and these little nudges along the way that show us the way. Unfortunately, some of them are spiders. I know, get over it. I'm trying. But so let me offer up about 5 points of transitioning, of changing, of how to maybe go through that process with a little more intentionality, or a little more togetherness, a little more inward confidence, and a little more inward, I've got this. The first thing that I would say is, as you are experiencing change, noticing change, anticipating change, or find yourself in the thick of it, is calling on your grounding techniques, on your rituals. If you don't have a series of rituals that you do for yourself each day, let's talk. Because it's really, really important to have that and to feel grounded in those times of chaos, to feel grounded in those times of peace and harmony, to feel grounded in those times of creating new things for yourself, which creates a little chaos, but at the same time, even though you brought it on yourself, like when you choose to have a baby, or when you choose to have another baby, you chose that, you created it, and you're fortunate, blessed, and able to have that, or you adopt a new child, or you become a stepmom, or whatever the case may be, you brought all that on, and you'll find yourself in the process of that transition. There'll be times, right? And so if you have some grounding techniques to rely on, some rituals for yourself, some things that you do to keep yourself on the track. As chaos ensues around you, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, hang on. Who am I in this process? What's important to me? What's required of, maybe take a step back and say, what do I require of myself compared to what's being required all around me? That's a question I love to ask myself. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, got to do it. Wait a minute, what do I require of myself? So that's part of my grounding technique too, is stepping back and asking questions. And then I get a clarity of just like, oh, okay, I don't need to spaz and head in 18 different directions. I just need to do what's true to me in this moment, figure out what others need, figure out how this could, here's some options of how this could turn out, and go for it. Maybe iterate along the way, right? Number 2, I would say in walking through transition, creating transition, inviting transition, or it just being foisted upon you, like I said, number 2 would be, especially if it's a difficult one, especially if you find yourself struggling a little bit, just ask yourself and think on and ponder on what's wanted here, what's positive, what's joyful, what can I create here, what can I find that's good? Maybe it's something amazing and you can't even find anything bad about it. Focusing on that is the best thing in the world. Maybe there's something that has transitioned you into a very difficult time of life. Maybe for you, acknowledging that it'll be a season and it will pass and you'll get over it and you'll get through it. You have before and you will again. Maybe that's something good for you. Maybe it's some real basic, hardline, positive things. I've walked through some sorrows in my life, and when I was able to grasp onto what I still have that I am grateful for, what I still can call upon, again the grounding, but what can I create out of this difficult situation, or sometimes it's a matter of like, okay, life is falling around all around me. Thank goodness I have toes and I can still walk around. Maybe it's something ridiculous, maybe not so ridiculous, but something like that can really just help me go, okay, today has been difficult in every way. Tomorrow's a new day. I get to create all over again. And just kind of being in those type of things. Number 3, as far as transition goes, I would say, imagine, I know this sounds crazy. I'm not saying focus on this. I'm saying imagine what you will do when your fear or your sadness or your resistance comes up. Like, for example, when you're planning to do something, but there's a little bit of a part of you that feels some resistance or feels some fear or feels some sadness. For me, for example, I'll share that my kids are going to college. I have 2 of them heading to college in the same week, one on a Wednesday and one on a Thursday next week. And when I sit back and think about that, I'm like so excited for their life's next steps. One's a sophomore, one's a freshman. I'm so excited for each of them and what that means differently and how that shows up, and what an exciting time of life, and how beautiful and wonderful and amazing. And sometimes a little sadness comes up because I will miss them, right? And I allow myself to be here. I allow myself to acknowledge the emotion. I will miss them. I'll miss their happy, wonderful, beautiful persons walking through this house every day, whether it's to open the fridge for the 20th time or to see them for 50 seconds before I hit the hay and they just get home, right? Or whatever that is. The resistance of like, I hope everything's okay in their life. I no longer see them every day when they go to college, right? And so I have to go, I hope they're having a good day. I hope everything's okay. I hope if it wasn't, that they would come and talk it out. I would hope that if they felt they needed to deal with it on their own, that they would still know they're supported. It's a whole different thing. That's a big transition. And it's a transition for my youngest too. She's now going to be an only child. She's used to 4 kids around, and now all of a sudden she's going to be on her own going to middle school. So that's a big change too. The fear and resistance of, will she make friends? Is it going to be a good place? Everybody else, they're looking to make friends. It's that all of those things. So I can imagine the fear and the resistance and the sadness and the things that come up, and I can acknowledge them. But I very much so choose not to focus on them. I very much so bring in the joy and the happiness and I can supersede those fears. I can supersede those worries with all of the wonderful and amazing things and the reasons why we're doing what we're doing, why they're going to college, what they're getting out of it, the growth that I have already seen. And that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of these kids and momming and the journey that we've been on, is for them to find themselves, is for them to launch, for them to use those wings that we've been working on for years, right? And so, yeah, I can get really emotional going, wow, this is where it's at. And they'll fly, they'll fall, they'll fly again, they'll fly maybe away. Maybe they'll do a semester overseas. Oh my gosh, road trip. But anyway, so that's number 3. Number 4, what's the hardest? Ask yourself, what's the hardest thing to let go of? Notice the emotions behind any transition. Notice them. Look at your emotions. You know, all of us moms, when that kid turns their back and walks into kindergarten, are you kidding? You know, we turn around so they don't see our tears, or we laugh with our friends, or we do whatever we do, but we are in an emotional state. That is a huge, huge thing. That is a first big step. And notice the emotions that's the strongest, and greet it and chat with it and let it be, and find out what it's all about. And it's an indicator. Notice that it's an indicator. If it's like, out of the house, done, woohoo, I'll see them after school, awesome. That means that it's time for you to have some of your time. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to be your highest and best during that time? What are you going to create for yourself? It's a beautiful, delicious thought. What if the emotion that's the strongest is all day long you're thinking, oh my gosh, are they okay? Did they eat right? Are they being treated well? Is the teacher nice to them? All the things. Notice that worry, that fear. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to ask yourself, what can I trust? What can I let go of? And if I can't trust, why not? What stands in my way of that? Maybe it's something about the situation. Maybe it's something about you. Number 5, let's go with, what is the best possible thing going on in this transition? With the spiders, hopefully it's that, you know, they just hibernate and go away. But what's the best possible situation? Even if it's a hard situation, what is the best possible thing going on with this deal? What is the best possible part of this transition? And really give yourself some time to think about that, because if we just march through and go, oh, this happened, that happened, this happened, I got to get this report done, I've got to get this for school, I've got to get the oil changed in the car, and we don't stop and think once in a while, life goes by pretty fast and we'll miss it. So even if you're looking at the situation dauntingly, there's still a best. There's still something that you can put your head on the pillow at night and smile about. They went to kindergarten. They got the teacher they wanted for 3rd grade. Oh my goodness, in middle school, they got to be in honors choir. They went to freshman year high school and they did it. They got through the first day. They got through the second day. 3rd day was rough. Oof. But man, they got through the 4th. They got a new group of friends and I like them. I like those kids. This is good. This is good. I've taught this kid how to make decisions on friendships and they're doing it. And see all of your hard work unfolding. So be sure to leave yourself on that high note. Look at what's the best in the situation and whatever the transition is. Last week we did a series on, 2 weeks ago, I think it was episode 19, we did a series on how to talk about the D word. Maybe that's your situation. Maybe you're transitioning with a divorce. I encourage you to go back and watch that Memoir series. It was really good about considering possibility and choice and perceptions and the way we think about things. And that's what this whole discussion is today, is to encourage and create an invitation for you, for me, for all of us to go, how am I thinking about this? Am I just transitioning through and going through the motions, or can I take a step back and look at the best and really revel in it and consider the things that are troublesome for me, consider the worst, and how am I going to walk through that? What am I going to create there? And how am I going to face up to those emotions and transcend them and not choose to stay there and not choose to just kind of wallow down, but really rise up? So, yeah, I don't know. What say you? I would love to know some of the things that you do to face transition. I would love to know some of the things that you think about this back to school time. There's a lot of moms that are great and they're celebrating, and there's a lot around all the perfect folders that we need to buy for this, that, and the other thing. And in some ways, would we have it any other way? I make those times of shopping with my kids a little extra special. I like to take them out and get all those school supplies and then have a meal together, just me and them, and set goals and talk about life and dig in a little bit deeper and make that transition a time of connection as well. So I've always done that. That's been a tradition with me and my kids. And even as they get older, I will tell you, I said to my son, the sophomore, I said, hey, are we going to go out and set goals and everything for next year? And he's like, we could, Mom. He's 20 years old, right? And I said, you know what? I know we've set that pattern in place, so I'm sure you're just already doing it on your own. And he's like, yeah. I don't know if he is or he isn't, but he's a man now, and that's his choice. I've done that part of my job for him and for us. So anyway, if you are ready to transform yourself, if you are ready to take a look at what you're doing, if you're feeling stuck at all as a mom or in some of your roles, if you're ready to take your life to the next level of awareness and next level of transition for yourself, stay tuned, because I'm really excited. 9/9/19 is a big exciting day for me. It's the launch day of my book, The Perfect Cupcake, and there are going to be new programs that I have made with you in mind, new opportunities, and I am super excited about that. So please stay tuned. Thank you for joining in the Momwire series. I would very, very much love your comments because we are in this village together. I'm going to sign off as my children and my dog are walking in the door and wanting to join in. So thanks for joining in, and we will see you next time where we will have some pretty juicy topics. There's some big ones coming up, so we will see you soon. Thanks for joining.
Remember to subscribe.